Good afternoon, good evening. Wow, that's really loud. Sorry, everybody. Didn't mean to make it that loud. But I got your attention, so that's good. Welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tony Demakis with Alliance Specialties in Laser Sales, where we're mold makers that don't build molds, and that sounds really stupid, I know, but we do the things that you guys don't want to do or have time to do, polishing, laser welding, laser engraving, hot runner repair, mold maintenance, and we build and sell laser welding equipment in the United States. And that's it. That's all you're going to hear about me. We are on location today at Myriad Brewing in Indiana at the Emerging Leaders Conference. And this is something that we have never been able to do before. And so we have leaders from the mold making industry here. We have Alyson Van Hooser. You have a microphone. Alyson Van Hooser. For some reason, I think it should be an N and not an R, but that's my fault. That's probably something about me. And part of the Emerging Leaders Board. So we just want to talk about what's going on with the emerging leaders, why that's so important, and how you are helping us this week try to increase our leadership and get better at what we're doing so that we can do a better job for our organizations and really everybody else. And so people that are here, that are at the conference, if you have any questions, you can come and join us. That's awesome. Things that you didn't want to ask in the room around everybody else, you can do that now. And like nobody's watching, it's fine. It'll be great. But guys, thank you for doing this. I want to have a quick introduction of who's here right now, and then we'll bring Rachel up later, and she can talk more about what's going on. But let's jump in.
All right. Hello, Kyle Scott, Liberty Molds in Portage, Michigan, program manager. Where should we take it from here?
Hello, everyone. This is Colby Coombs from Westminster Tool. I run finance, so everything else that people actually manufacture, I just can look at the numbers. But glad to be here. Great conference so far. Excited to talk about it and hopefully share some knowledge and get some more insight.
And Patrick Wilson, I guess we are the stupid ones that do the repairs and all that. We just do it down in the south. Well, you do it down south and on things that are enormous. Like we had the privilege of going to Prodigy Mold and Tool today, right? And my favorite thing is like you're walking through there and you're like, here's what I learned. I learned if we had any of this stuff in our shop, we would mess it up because this is way too small and finicky for us. Yeah, we like high tolerances. Yeah. Big. I mean, the stuff you guys are working on is like Scott Phipps sends me pictures of guys sitting in the mold welding. Yeah, I think we have one in shop right now, about 180,000 pounds. So we have 3 trucks and a little bit. Barely fits in our spot press, but we got it in there. Testing out the weight limits. Yeah. I think we're over it, but it's still working. That's awesome. And we heard it from everybody but you.
I'm Alyson. Yes, I've been with you all day. We've been talking about leadership development, so hopefully for the people listening, maybe I can provide some insights that are helpful for you all too.
Yeah, and one of the things that we always do when we do the shows is we do them live, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But if you are watching at home, I mean, work's over, and if you're watching right now, listen, we should talk, and you need to find more hobbies. But if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, go ahead, put it in the chat, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, put it in the chat and we'll ask the questions and we'll talk about it and dig in deeper. So, I think the question everybody wants to know is, Patrick, that mustache is amazing. It's a week old. Yeah, you just bear down and it just pops, right?
Yeah, but in case someone is listening and not watching, let me just describe this mustache for you. So, right above his lip, he has...
Well, that's where mustaches go.
I know, but hold on. Right towards the center, he has probably about 1.5 inches long hair.
Yeah.
Would you say that's correct? And then as it goes out towards the sides and extends just past the corner of his mouth, it's all dark, and it starts to turn up and it curls around back to the top of his lip. It's the most incredible mustache I've seen in person. I've only ever seen that mustache in pictures until I met you. You're welcome.
I know people that don't like mustaches that love your mustache. Well, you know, it's gotta stay tamed. I don't. Yeah, I don't. I miss the middle. I don't get this part here.
I did learn today how the grace and there is stress. We talked about that.
We did.
Up top, Tony Gray.
Oh, that's what your comment was about earlier. I'm following you now. Yes, of course.
And Colby, it's good to see you. Haven't seen you in a little while. There's been, exciting things, and not just your family, but and the Coombs family as a whole, the clan growing and things like that. That's awesome.
We got the baby Addie on our list, so the Coombs family is as crazy as always. This is going to be another loud one in the room. Give it a couple of years where she can articulate sentences, and there will be no more air left in the room because it'll always suck out. I can promise you that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That'll be a given. And Kyle, you just like you look like, what are you gonna ask me?
Oh, I'm terrified.
Yeah?
Oh,
you're a little panicked, are you?
No, I'm good. It
So
could be anything though.
Yeah, it could be.
Could be.
So
All right,
like
let's do this.
my favorite one is, okay, we're in manufacturing. When you go to the bathroom, should the toilet paper go over the top or from the back?
Oh, always over the top.
Over the top. Yeah.
Every time.
So
Bullets only
in the back. You go with the in back. Listen, you're wrong. That's
according to whom? According to whom, all right? I like the mullets personally.
I think that's the way the pattern on the toilet paper is. I was talking to Rick, and Rick was telling me that as soon as he went into the bathroom here, he looked at the toilet paper and had to switch it because it was wrong, and because it's got to go over the front.
100%.
Yeah. So you were doing a lot of would you rathers today, and I think they're kind of fun. And so the other one I like is, would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
The large duck.
The large duck. You would
100%.
rather fight the large duck.
Yes.
Now, see, why?
I can't kick a horse.
You can't.
I could kick a duck, but I'm not going to kick a horse.
But it's the size of a horse.
Right.
That's basically, like, in my opinion, that's basically a dragon.
Well, you could ride it, yeah.
It's a flying giant duck.
If I won, then I have the rights to fly it, right?
Agreed. Right. Yeah.
So we all have our own weird things. I would say the big horse-sized duck, because I have this fear of something touching my feet. Like, I won't wear flare jeans on an airplane because I'm afraid something could crawl up my jeans. I don't like to walk around barefoot. I'm afraid a worm would get in between my toes. So give me the big animal so that I don't accidentally get a little horse duck or whatever between my toes.
All right. I think that's fair. Yeah.
A horse-sized duck is going to mess me up. If you have 100 duck-sized horses, you will be a tornado going around, and I will win very quickly. I'll take that any day of the week. All I know is Patrick might need some help with cleanup on the backside.
Yeah. You got any thoughts on this, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm not going to fight any of them.
No.
That's my option.
Well, that wasn't really an option. That was like, would you rather is like two options. Yeah. Neither is not the option.
Let's go with the
100 duck-sized horses. Okay.
And you?
I would go with the little baby horses. Yeah. Well, they're tiny. They're like the size of a duck. Yeah.
Giving me chills thinking about stepping on one of those things.
So I was driving through northern Indiana.
Yeah.
Right to get here. Saw a Amish buggy, 7 people. It was the main cart and a backup cart off the back with more kids being pulled by a miniature horse. No joke. This thing was
Little
working
Sebastian?
its butt off. It was
like Little Sebastian from Parks and Rec.
He looked
Steve's
happy
like, that's
though.
my horse.
Yeah. The horse looked really happy, so I
All right, so really, why are we here? Why are you guys? What is the purpose of what we're doing here today? Tell us a little bit about the emerging leaders, the AMBA Emerging Leaders, so the American Mold Builders Association Emerging Leaders Executive Board. Part of it, not all of it, is up here. Why? Why is this important to the executive board?
I think it's the young guns that have to learn from everyone that's done it before us, get involved, learn about leadership, continuing to grow as we're stepping into leadership roles. Yeah, I think this year the new thing has been kind of 40-ish. So, we try to keep it under 40-ish. And
That ish is very important. Listen, I mean, it should go based on your mental age, not your physical age.
you might be too young, Tony. You might be too young.
Yeah, I'm going back to kindergarten.
But just let us get involved, learn, like I said, learn from the guys that have done this before us, and to continue manufacturing in the States. There's a lot of people that are, have done a great job getting us to this point. A lot of shops here that are represented. Had the pleasure of seeing Prodigy here today. Great shop. They're doing a lot of good things there. And just learning from each other, sharing our experiences, trying to grow and teach people what we're learning.
Awesome. You guys want to add anything to the purposes of what we got going on here?
So this is just another awesome event, the inaugural Emerging Leaders Retreat. And what it's doing is bringing together a lot of brilliant minds. And although we're competitors, we're all in this same fight together, right? We are trying to keep manufacturing here in the States, and we're all facing a lot of the same challenges. So we need to come here and get a wonderful speaker like Alyson to give insights on how we can better lead and grow our individuals within our company, and as well see our friends here that are facing challenges. And we are the next generation. We are going to lead the charge that the paved road has been set, and it's our job to make sure that we keep injection molding the amazing industry it is, and keep it growing and keep manufacturing here in the United States, made in America.
Yeah. I know, it's so good, right? Kyle, come on now, bring us home with it.
So I think it's really important to be forming these relationships.
Closer. We want to hear you.
Forming these relationships now. In this industry for a long time, it was very segmented and everything was held to your chest as far as the trade secrets and manufacturing processes. So I really think in the future going forward, forming these relationships here, now we have friends to call upon if we have questions, and it's going to be really beneficial going forward. So.
Yeah. And you did, was this exciting for you, Alyson, to be able to be part of this event?
It was exciting to me for multiple reasons. So, one, my husband is a manufacturer. He works in the food service industry. So, some of the lingo that you all use, I'm familiar with because I hear it at home too. So, there's that. Also, if I'm just being honest and candid, working with the AMBA team, they are one of the most high caliber associations that I've had the pleasure of working with so far, as far as being detail oriented, being professional in everything they do, and thinking about the details in order to make this a success for you all. That's been really cool, really fun for me. Finally, I'm like a professional speaker or something. I just keep going. The people that I've met here, you all are like salt of the earth, my kind of people. I like hanging out with you all. You all have been eager to learn and to grow today. Sometimes you don't know how people will perceive a woman teaching a room where the majority are men. But all of you all have been so respectful and so open and willing to learn, and I appreciate that about you all.
Well, they can also hear knowledge and wisdom, right? So, if you didn't have much to say or anything that we could learn from, there would be no real reason to listen. But is like impacting everybody, and have that that little bit of conviction, right? Like Mike and I were talking about it today, our guy Mike that was here, and it was this idea of, when there's two ways you can look at your teaching, and when you're sitting there, you're thinking one of two things. Man, I know some people need to change the way they lead, right? Like I know a guy who needs to change everything. Or you look at it and you go, man, I got to change some stuff. Like, is it convicting you, or are you looking outward?
And I think one of the things I try to point home in every situation is we can always say someone else should stand up, someone else should do this. But at the end of the day, we can't control other people. We can only control how we show up, how we react to other people when they do what they should do or what they are doing what they shouldn't do. We can only control us.
Yeah. And is like these are the companies that decide to do, right? They're here. They're not waiting for somebody else to lead the charge. So this is in this room, you probably have what the next, maybe not the next, but the future president of the AMBA. The people that are going to lead the organization and the industry down the line because you're already here. You're already putting in the effort. That should come from this room because you should get the training that you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was the Kyle, what was your big takeaway for today? Whether it was Alyson teaching or our visit to Prodigy, what was the thing that you went, yeah, that's going to be a differentiator now? We still have a whole day tomorrow, but right now.
Sorry, Alyson. It will be about Prodigy. You got tomorrow. Okay, you can have tomorrow's. No, going through Prodigy, their shop was fantastic. It was very similar to the size of our shop. So it was really to see how everything's laid out and the additional things that they do that we don't. They do a lot more mold-based work and getting to see how their process is there, how they're doing that, the different machines, and that was really it was good to have that conversation.
Awesome. Colby, same thing?
Although Prodigy was great, love it. I'll definitely be back soon there. Alyson left me reflecting greatly on how I need to be better for my team, right? And when we talk about the three levels of true leading, right, between coaching, counseling, and empowerment, this whole event came at a perfect time for myself, right? In my career right now, I'm absorbing some more, and I realize that I need to not only delegate but empower my team members to be better for themselves and for the company. And it's having the idea to learn, having the insight to understand what they want, what they need, and what is their true capacity of what they can be, and help guide them and lead them to get there. And ultimately, the Emerging Leaders, perfect timing, great event that the AMBA set up because I needed this content more than anything. And I can't wait to get back and execute and implement everything I've learned so far from Alyson. We still have a whole another half day tomorrow, so I'll have a big old action list to get back in Connecticut.
I like how you said you're going to implement everything. Like,
oh,
dude,
no,
you gotta.
No.
I think you gotta pick one thing and start there. Everything's a big. That's
this
a
way.
Big,
hey, I'm a Coombs, all right. I got. You think you can do everything, and then you fall short on everything, right? But first and foremost is paying attention and team members that I'm personally overseeing and helping them reach their greatest potential, right? And I need to get back to my roots is listening, right? Listening, understanding, and trying to get a plan to communicate together of what the company needs and what they need personally, and everyone wins at that point.
Yeah, no, I agree. Patrick, what's your big takeaway today?
I keep it simple. The emojis. There was a
emojis.
Those
are great.
Very simple practice, but a big learning lesson. And hanging up a different emoji with emotional responses. We sat at the same table, Tony, and I don't think you and I ever had the same response to the same situation.
No.
I thought we were twins before that.
Yeah, we look exactly alike.
Yeah.
There's like nobody. I had a guy come up to me and we're like, "Are you Patrick? Are you the guy that does skydiving?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah. But no, just understanding and being ready to respond to the responses, and understanding perception's a dangerous game. Everyone doesn't think like I do, so to expect everyone to have a positive response. We talked about the small thing of the new uniforms, and realizing I have to present it differently to different people, and it is about me. It's not about changing anyone else. It's all about how I can be a better leader, how I can respond to people. Again, the emotional intelligence is a strong thing to deal with. It's something you got to always learn. And people will change day to day.
Absolutely. So here's a question for you, Alyson. Patrick and I were sitting next to each other. That's probably trouble. We should probably be separated tomorrow. But we had some thoughts. So one of the questions that Patrick asked, Are people born leaders or are they taught leaders?
I think that people who are born with skills that help them be a better leader, but I do think that leadership is very much learned. And I think that the most successful leaders today are those leaders who learn to adapt to people, and things that made people successful leaders 15, 20 years ago, those might not work today, especially not for the majority. And so when I think, are leaders born or are they created? I would say hands down they're created, and hopefully leaders today are doing more work to change their leadership style because the workforce is different than it ever has been.
Yeah, no, it was way better. Our answer was kind of like, yeah. Well, let's ask her tonight. That was basically what we came up with. Is let's ask her tonight. But I think, I think everybody has the opportunity and the capacity to lead. Some people don't want to, and they don't have that drive to lead. They would rather not do, right? That's kind of what we were talking about. I think part of being a leader is having to do and take that step, be willing to take that step. And some people, good or bad, they want to work, and they don't want the responsibility, and they don't want the added stress. But at the end of the day, everybody has influence, and I think there's a difference between.
To touch on that, though, when you say that some people just want to work, it's a thing that some people want, right? It's in their blood. It's in something that they're eager to lead and grow and get the most out of. And some people want to be led. But at the end of the day, Tony, is leading themselves one way or another. When you wake up in the morning, how are you going to lead yourself to act as a better human being, better spouse, better partner, better friend, right? And I think the big thing to know is everyone has leadership in them, whether they know it or not. It might not be as public, open, or spoken, but you're either leading yourself, you're leading a child, right? You're leading a friend, through a tough time. And it's kind of cool when you go through that emoji conversation that Patrick was talking about. Everyone is a leader in their own way, but everyone has their own perception and assumptions that are completely different than my eyes to yours, right? And that's a big takeaway too when you step back and say, hey, what I think, I got two eyes. I see things and I feel things completely different, and it's ignorant to think that you feel the same, right? And it's having that communication to making that alignment, or even saying how I feel, right? Having that social awareness to be able to communicate in order to lead or to be led.
Except about the toilet paper. You are wrong about the toilet paper. So we can have a difference of opinion, but wrong is wrong.
I think we need a vote. All right. I like the mullet. The mullet's it's easier.
Right, we'll do a vote. There's people in the room. Hands up. Toilet paper comes over the top. Goes over the top. You pull from the front. Yeah. Yeah. All right. And so we'll say toilet paper from the back with the mullet. You lose and you're wrong.
So you can't rip it. He's the only one. Does that make him the smartest man in the room?
Yeah, that's right. That's
I'll
right. The
take
guy with
that.
the left hand. Yes. Yes, we learned today too.
My toilet paper choice makes me smart any day of the week.
You made me have a thought. You know how back in the day, the idea was that, if you were a lawyer or a doctor, that was success.
Yes.
And the idea was that if you move up in the company, like you can just picture, like on a movie, the family's around the table and the son gets a promotion and the dad is so proud that he's moving up. I think about, you said, some people want to be leaders, some people aren't interested at all. I think that it's possible that there are older generations who say, well, they don't want to step into leadership, like womp womp, like they must be a dud. But I also think that there's a shift in culture where we're saying, you don't want to step up, you don't want to step into leadership. Great. What's most important to you? What do you want to do? Why are you working? And I think that there's something to be said, and something for us, if we're going to be leaders, to focus on that. Just because someone doesn't want to move into leadership doesn't make them not still a very viable part of the team. Instead, it might be something to be celebrated, that you can have somebody come in, do their job, be focused on doing really well, and you don't have to worry about refilling that position, because they're going to stay, they're going to collect their paycheck, and then they're going to go live their life somewhere else.
Yeah. There's a there's a great movie, Mystery Alaska. I don't know if you ever saw Mystery Alaska. Everybody needs a thumper, right? Everybody in the team needs a thumper. That guy, that person that's just going to come and keep working. They're going to do their job. They're going to make the difference for the company. And what they don't realize is they're actually leading. They're leading the way in their work ethic and what they're doing and how they're pushing and what all that looks like. So leading doesn't have to be, that's a dog. We are okay if you're just listening. That's not an angry dog. It's okay. That's a butt rub. All right. Well, I didn't know I would say the phrase "that's a butt rub" today. So, especially about a dog. But I think that leadership looks a lot of different ways, right? It's not always the rah-rah guy. It's not the person that is, doing the Braveheart thing. It's leading by example and through hard work and being that thumper every day, letting people see that work ethic come through in everything that they do. It's different. It's not one size fits all.
I think one of the best approaches we can have as leaders in our organization is, I'm doing it even now as I say this, I say leaders in our organization. I think the best thing we can do as people in our organization is create leaders at every level. The people who are just hired in. Here's this definition of leadership right now. You can be a leader as soon as you step onto that floor, because as soon as you step on that floor, you can start serving those needs and taking action. And that can mean showing up in different ways in different positions. But if we create those leaders at every level from day one, imagine what you all could accomplish from a culture perspective.
Yeah. You said an important word that I want to come back. Patrick, you are wearing a very, very fancy shirt today. I think that we need to hear all about what this shirt is.
All right, we got I Warriors.
Yep.
Progressive, Alliance, UTM, a lot of companies involved in it. It's raising money for the wounded warriors when they come back. Buy them a lot of iPads, things like that. Load them up with therapy sessions. They can stay in contact with their family, friends, all that. And Alliance has a great golf outing coming up here. When is that?
September 23rd.
There you go.
September 23rd. If you don't play golf, you should come because nobody plays golf. Last year we had 170 golfers and one scorecard got turned in because nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's just about coming out, having fun, giving money to a good cause, and making a difference, leading the way.
Yep. And then a month later, if you really like golf and a little bit warmer weather in October, last Friday in October, we'll be having our golf outing with UTM down there. Everyone's invited.
Yeah. And I've been to the UTM event. It's a really good time. It actually rained last time I was there, but we still had a good time. We actually finished the round of golf. That's different. That's the difference between our things. You're not going to finish our outing. You're just not. It's okay. But a lot of times people ask, why iPads, right? It doesn't seem like it's a big thing. And having talked to Kim Bartz, who started the organization based on their leadership and their love of people in our military, the reason is simple. Combat veterans need to feel whole. They need for the effort that they put out there. And iPads seem like a little thing. When you lose a limb, when you lose your mind, when things seems like it's been taken away from you, that's a little thing. People for those individuals to remember thought of, that their sacrifice matters, that care about the PTSD that they're going through, that people care about the fact that they need to be able to get in touch with their loved ones when they're sitting on a hospital bed and they can't communicate and they can't see people. And so when you think, why an iPad? iPads don't matter. They matter. They matter to the individual. Like you were saying earlier today, it may not matter to us, right? Because we can just go buy an iPad. It's not a big deal. But we have to look at the situation through the people that we're leading. Well, that was silence.
Yeah. No, it is. It's a great cause. I mean, there's a great video they put together every year. We watch at the AMBA conference. Gives me chills watching it. I mean, it's a great cause. Glad to be a part of it. Glad we can, help out as much as we can. So
You hit the nail on the head, though. You watch that video, Tony. Like I strongly recommend everyone to watch what the I Warriors actually does. It's unbelievable how simplicity can add so much value to someone's life. And when you're able to change someone's lives, communicate with their loved ones, get something personal, and not only that, the organization they have, the scheduling, everything else that the iPad is able to deliver. And when you watch these videos, it's hard not to just want to contribute to be a part of something like that. And the best part too is it's not like this foundation. You look at a nonprofit, almost all the money is going directly to the cause compared to some other ones. There's very low administration costs just so you can make impact with your dollar. And same thing. Hey, I'm busy that weekend, but we'll be giving you a nice check just to make sure that we're making an impact, and especially the veterans that fought so hard for our rights and liberties that we have now.
Yeah, and it's a great thing. Yeah, it just makes and it's nice to know that a lot of people that are in this room have been to the event and they come out and to UMs as well. It's great, and we appreciate it. So so Alyson, you were talking about today the difference between coaching, counseling. Thank you. My brain shut off for a second. And who's got the last one?
Empowerment.
Empowering, yeah. Alyson whispered it in. That's nice. So how do people break those down? So we were talking about, you and I were talking a little bit about how, as leaders in the organization, counseling should come from the employee. Coaching comes from the leadership. Can you tell people the difference between that?
Yeah, so for those listening who weren't in our 3-4 hour training session, leaders have to both coach and counsel. You will coach really often. Could be every day, could be every interaction, could be weekly, could be monthly, but the goal of coaching is to help them improve their skills to become better for the organization. It's initiated by you, the leader, because you should be trying to help develop the skills of your people. Counseling is very different. Counseling, the focus is not the organization. The focus is very much so on the employee, the personal side of the employee, which years ago was not important in the workforce. Leaders didn't have to focus on that. But in today's work world, where it's hard to get good help, it's hard to keep good help, we have to now take care of that mental and emotional part of it. So counseling is not initiated by the leader. We were talking about this. It is only should be initiated by the employee. They come to you, they need counseling. As a counselor, it is not your job to give advice. It is your job to redirect them to people who are qualified to help.
So, and that led, you and I had to talk about this earlier, and I just want to reiterate my thoughts. So, like, as a leader, if you see somebody in your organization that's maybe hurting in some way, but they're not verbalizing it outward, you don't just let that go.
Right. So if you all could have been a fly on the wall, we have to expand that. You didn't give enough detail. Tony said to me, he said, so let's say we have someone who's hurting, but it's just not their MO to come talk to me about a problem that they're having. So he said, Alyson, you said that from a counseling standpoint, a personal issue, that should come to the leader from the employee, that the manager, the supervisor should not initiate that conversation. He said, what do I do if I can see there's a need, but they won't come to me? And I'll tell you all what I told him. I would not suggest that you go to them and say, I think is something wrong. Do you want to talk to me about it? I would not approach it that way. Instead, I would tell them a story. I would figure out, what is my story? When have I had a problem or a personal issue? Who did I take it to? How did that turn out? Did it work for me? Did it not work for me? Was there any sort of retaliation? I would come up with that story. I would practice that story for myself. And then I would go to the employee and say, hey, there's something that's just been on my heart, a story that I want to tell you. I don't know if it's going to mean anything to you or not, but I just want to share this story with you. And you share the story and you let it be. And when you're willing to share your story, you change people's perspective. You build trust in the fact that you're willing to be vulnerable enough to share your story with them. You build loyalty in the fact that you're willing to make time to sit and actually talk with them. Because for some people, that's going to be so out of character of anything you've ever done. So if you have that employee and you're willing to tell that story, it's likely that then they'll come back to you. It might not be immediately in that conversation. It could be weeks or months later, but they may, if it's meant to be, come back to you and say, you told me that story. I have cold chills. And now, yeah, I think I want to talk to you about something. Do you now have a minute?
Yeah, and I think there's a difference between, because we were talking about, right, like counseling is for the individual, is for the organization. And the idea that, if somebody's in a rotten, bad, awful mood at work, that's not only hurting them, it's also hurting the organization. So at that point, does it become a coaching to talk to them and see, like, are you okay? And leave it at that point, because you can see, and there's a difference in their work attitude and the performance that's happening there, which is the organization and the person in the same regard.
There's something that we call at Van Hooser Associates, dumb questions smart leaders ask. And one of those questions is, hey, is anything going on today that I can help you with? And we say that's a dumb question because if you ask it, you better be ready to do something.
I like that.
If that means clear your schedule, you better do it. You don't ask the question if you're not ready to take action. But you saying that is not you giving any sort of advice, anything like that. You are serving them at that point.
So your father-in-law, Philip, is actually watching us.
Bill,
Yeah.
hi.
Yeah, and he says it's never a bad time to talk about leading better at any stage of our careers, offering service and taking action. Kyle, any thoughts? You've been able to be quiet here. Sorry. Yeah.
Hi, Phil.
Yeah.
I agree. If they're not either ready to talk, you're not going to push them into bearing their soul to you. So do something smaller and then see if it can boomerang back and actually institute some change there.
Yeah, I like it. Micah from MedBio says, is this being recorded? I'd love to share some of these topics and details. Yes, this is being recorded. Talk with us being recorded. You had to be part of that. But I'm sure you have videos, you've got books, you've got ways that people can get a hold of you to get more information on all of that stuff and the goodness that you have to give.
For anybody who is interested, you can always go to vanhooser.com and find more information there.
Yeah. Colby, you guys do a really good job. I think, like, the first time I went out to Westminster Tool, like, your dad and I bonded instantly. It was amazing. I love your father. I love your whole family. I've slept at the house. It's like, it's an awesome thing. It's so good. But you guys, you blew me away because, like, there's all this WT talk culture. Like, you guys were like first in mold building to talk about culture. Like, everybody has a culture, but you guys were like, you were right there. It was invested in. No, we're not buying machines, right? We're gonna learn. We're gonna do emotional intelligence. We're gonna learn about people, and we're gonna grow our culture and our team, and like actually like loving your team, right? How important is that to your family to like really, really, really love the people that work for you?
Well, you got to step back. I'm very lucky being second generation, and the culture. I got to come into it. You have to understand that was a 7 to 10 year journey that Kylie, my father, Jason, and plenty others created this culture that now I'm getting the benefit of. Now, what it means to our family, though, is every team member in Westminster Tool that is out there right now, present and past, and in the future, has made an impact on my life. At the end of the day, this is a family business. Anyone that puts any hour in between a delivery driver, an engineer, someone working the floor, someone working HR, without that organization in love for that WT family, nothing happens, right? I played soccer growing up. I wouldn't be able to play soccer without these individuals working and growing and becoming better. And when you step back of it, you and I just talked about it the other day, culture and treating people in this employee-centric business model with respect and compassion. This isn't anything out of this world. This isn't made up. This isn't rocket science. It's been taught in religion for years. At the end of the day, your team members that work for the company our family, right? And when you talk about what your lessons were today, Alyson, of leading with compassion, right? Listening and really trying to comprehend what people's needs are. This is all about being a good human being. And if you have an organization of good human beings, the end product is a beautiful work environment that produces good quality tools, parts, and anything else. And ultimately, we got a dynamic work group now that, hey, if we needed to make shoes, if that was going to feed our team members, then we're making shoes. It just so happens we're really good at making injection molds.
Yeah, exactly. But what I love is like when you talk about the WT way, one of the got from your dad when we sat and talked was we're in the business of making quality people.
Yes.
We just happen to make good molds.
Yes.
Right? Like so good. How can you not love these people? I mean, that was from his dad. And I sat there and I was like, yes, that's our job. That's our responsibility, is to pour into people and make people's lives better, make a difference in people's lives. And it's easy for people, I think you guys got this for a little while, where people are like, it's all fluff. Like you have your tours, blah, blah, blah. You put on a good show, you clean up the shop, everything is fine. People are told to wear their gear, blah, 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 blah. But then you come out there and you participate in a WT 5K.
Yep.
And everybody comes out and they show up and it's awesome. And then afterwards, you go to the lake house and your dad gets the boat out and he does a crab boil for everybody. And the team comes out, not because they're getting paid to come, but because they know that they're cared for and they're loved, and they can feel that from your family and they want to be a part of that. They don't care if they get a paycheck for going. Like there's some people that go, am I getting paid to come to your house and hang out? No? Cool, I'm going to stay home. But that wasn't it. And it was an amazing, it was an amazing experience. I would encourage anybody listening. The awesome thing about WT is they say, come in, we'll show you how to do it. We'll tell you what we do. It's not because you may not be able to do it. It's a lot of hard work and you have to actually care. It's real.
And you hit the nail on the head. It's not easy, right? My father has lost the best man at his wedding he had to separate from because it didn't fit that culture. That journey's painful, but it's a requirement. And, you know, as I said, I work in finance. Our expenses, 40% of our expenses every single year, every month, is our employees. It blows our machine purchases out of the water. It blows everything out of the water. So if you know that 40% of your expenses are your people, that is your greatest asset. And if you are not listening to what their needs are and you're not taking action to fulfill those needs, you are working towards a negligible business. And when you start looking at your employees, and I hate even saying employees, they're team members, right? Yeah. At the end of the day, we're all in this together. And if we all don't work with synergy and grow and be dynamic, none of us eat. So we all work together, and it don't matter if someone's got to step up and work a different machine, cop on the floor. Everyone there is for the common good, and that's where you see the end product of a nonprofit. People sacrificing their weekend coming out because this isn't just a job. It's something bigger than that, right? It's how can you make a difference not only in your day-to-day, but on the backside, Tony, is how can you make a difference in yourself, your family, your community, and everything else that is different than just going to a job, clocking in, clocking out.
Yeah. So, Alyson, back to the word that I love that you keep saying, that I don't know if anybody notices, but that word serve. Why the word serve?
I've never asked that question. Why the word serve? I think that it comes from a place of being focused on someone else, putting other people first. We live in a culture where it is all about me. What do I want? What can I get? And when we start putting other people first, I think that's where we find our real joy.
Yeah. And I think that there's leaders, you know, it's like the word salesperson. Right? Person gets a very negative connotation. It's like, you scumbag. You want me to buy something that I don't want. You know, you're trying to sell me. I don't want that. Leave me alone. But a salesperson is just providing something that you probably need. Whether you choose to buy it or not is up to you. That's a thing. I think leaders, that word, leader, boss, manager, it can also have a very negative thing of like that person sitting on the throne with a whip, you know, cracking it at people saying, do this, make me more money, go do this thing. But in reality, it's that person saying, let me come down from this pedestal that I don't belong on, and work alongside you. And how can I help you to get better? How can we work together? What do you need from me, um, so that we can succeed?
And I think too, shining a light on that, like that's not sexy and fun to talk about. Talking about someone bringing down the hammer is sort of eye catching. People want to hear what's happening. Someone stepping down from the throne and doing something nice doesn't always get the attention, but it's going to take more people like us being willing to speak up, to share our stories, to talk about things like that really matter. Talk about the leaders who made a difference in our lives. That's what will gain the attention and change that connotation of what leader.
Patrick, you got a really good leader at UTM. How does Scotty do it? How does he bring that idea to light and lead you guys in a good way?
I mean, Scott's right to the empowerment. He lets us kind of make the decisions, lets us drive. But one of the biggest things with him is, he's always the first to say he's pulling a rope. He's always try and push a rope. It doesn't work. You got to pull a rope, let everyone hang on, and kind of lead the charge. And it's been, we've talked about it before, Tony, a few years ago. It's that damn the torpedoes, let's go rhinos kind of attitude. Nothing, thick skin and keep going. Great attitude, pushes all of us, challenges us, but backs us up 100%. When we were going through all those leadership words earlier, 99% of them were him, other than the patient part.
Yeah. Yeah. Patience is not his. Well,
Yeah.
rhinos are not very patient.
No,
and
not even a little bit.
So Scott Phipps is the owner of UTM, and it's all about the rhino. He's got a whole book that he gives people about like live like a rhino and what that looks like, and it's like it's full steam ahead.
Yep. Let's break it, then fix it.
Yeah, let's do it. Right? Like it's balls to the wall.
Yeah.
Let's go. And it's so good. And he leads that way in everything, right? It's like unapologetic leading. He's all in. Like their open house. So this is Scott, right? Like he wants to lead. He wants to make an impact. He wants to say, like, listen, we're here. This is UTM. And so they had an open house. I was fortunate enough to go to the open house, and he brings everybody outside. They have an empty flagpole outside of their building, and he brings everybody outside, and everybody's like, okay, it's 110 degrees out here. It's hotter than all get out. What are we doing? And all of a sudden, there's a helicopter that starts flying around the building. And everybody starts looking up, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And then you see like 4 people jump out of the helicopter. And as they're coming down, they're unfurling an American flag. And they're flying down with the American flag, just keep circling the building. And then they come down, they land, and Patrick is one of those guys. And he gives Scott the flag. They run it up the flagpole, and they say a prayer, and that's it. That's the opening of the shop. And it's amazing. And when you look at somebody like that, you go, how can they not lead with passion? He rented a freaking helicopter, and like, how do you top that? And if you're somebody from that organization, how do you go, yeah, he's going to let us down in this area. He rented a helicopter to make the business look amazing, to get like, yeah, right? Like I support what we're doing. I'm encouraging our guys. We are the best mold shop there is. And I'm so confident, I'm going to rent a helicopter and I'm going to throw people out of it. And we're going to run that flag up the flagpole. And it's awesome. And if you talk to Scott, he's a very humble man. He's very confident, very humble. He will never, ever, ever like brag about anything. He will talk about how good his guys are and how good his company is, but he's never going to take that on himself. He's definitely not going to brag about how good of a snowmobiling guy he is. He's not going to talk about that.
Easy, too soon.
Yeah.
Soon.
But it's just that amazing level of leadership to have the boldness to be able to do that and then back it up with your work.
Yeah, it's been a great opportunity. I've been there about 8 years now, and he's done nothing but support all of us. And even right now, he's pushing all of us to make these decisions. Our COO is on the board for the AMBA. I get to be lucky enough to be part of the Emerging Leaders board. So we're fully invested in the AMBA. It's a great organization to be a part of. It's been a great learning lesson for all of us. Some great relationships. It's brought sports into it. My boy heroes me a Carolina Hurricanes jersey because we beat Boston. No big deal. But no, it really is the culture there. We've gone through a big change going to the new facility. It was some challenging times up front, and you work through them. And the strong people made it through. Some people had to change seats on the bus. A couple people got off the bus, but it's part of the learning, and keep going, and we're gonna try it on the other side. So
Awesome. For the few people that are here left, what is the spoiler about tomorrow? What is the brief version of what we're going to get tomorrow? Or you can say no, just wait.
Well, I'll just say this. Today we talked very much about leadership, which is really intangible. Tomorrow we talk about management, which is different. You can be a manager and not be a leader, but you must all in leadership is not something you may do every single day with someone, but every day when you hold up in position, there are resources you will be managing. So we get to dig into how to do that better tomorrow.
Yeah. So somehow that was minutes, which is pretty good. I think we can kind of wrap some stuff up. That's there's nobody really left here there, and some of them look really bored. So hey, Rachel, I don't know if Rachel wants to say anything. Rachel, do you want to say anything while we're here? We're waiting for Rachel. Oh boy. All right, she's coming. She's gonna take Patrick's seat there for a second.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Rachel.
Hi, Rachel. So
would
I would
you-
just like to say on behalf of
Also,
everybody.
I'm a fan of the tiny horses.
You're a,
Tiny horses.
oh, you want to fight the tiny horses, or you want to take them home?
Hell yeah. Could you see
You
me
gotta talk
fighting
closer,
an enormous duck?
Yeah, that's
It'd be
terrifying, right?
ridiculous. Yeah.
I think ducks are terrifying anyways. I mean, they're mean, they bite, they're like, blech.
Yeah.
But a giant one? That's horrible. But anyways, I wanna thank you for taking on the mantle of leading the charge for emerging leaders. I think for too long there's been a missing piece. Like you go to the AMBA convention and the conference, and I love it, Kim. I love it. Don't get mad at me. But it's a lot of the same people, right? It's a lot of gray-haired people, and I'm a gray-haired person.
It's a deep.
Yes.
And it's just it's out of people that are really passionate about the mission, the industry, and everything that means. But I think that it's invigorating to see this new generation of people come together.
Yeah.
And I think that what's really cool about the emerging leaders events is that there are always different people that come. So there are people that continue to be a part of it. Obviously, we have some advisory board members here. Kyle's our newest. Colby is relatively new. So we've got some new blood, and then I think that it's a place where new ideas can form, new ways of doing business, new ways of looking at problems, new ways of solving problems. It's just like a continuous thing. So.
And what I think is so great is that there are a lot of people that they're older generation, right? They've been around a long time, and it can be intimidating for the next generation to step into that role and feel like they're being heard. So the emerging leaders gives people that confidence, that ability to speak, and get some encouragement from the people around them to go back and say, hey, listen, everybody that we talk to feels this way. It's not just us.
Yeah.
And their voice can then be heard, and it gives them that stepping stone that they might not otherwise have had by just going to the AMBA, because people know who they know, and it may be difficult for somebody to get a foot in that regard. So I think it's amazing what all the extra effort that you guys are putting into this, you and Amanda and the whole crew, to make this something that this is the next generation of mold makers.
Well, absolutely. And I think what's really cool about this group is that when you see new people connecting, these are opportunities that you don't have in your shop. You don't have them day to day. And when we talk about the bigger problem about, younger people staying in the industry or wanting to get into the industry. Yes, there's the reality that you want to be paid a certain amount and you want to be trained a certain way and you have to communicate a certain way. And obviously, we host these programs because we have kick-ass programming like Alyson, and we have really cool opportunities like getting to see Steve's place at Prodigy. He's giving a thumbs up for everyone who can't see him. But I think the biggest part of these events is the opportunity to connect with other people facing the same issues that you're facing. And I remember talking to someone on our workforce development committee who was an industry executive, been in the industry forever, over 30 or 40 years or whatever. And he was like, I want an employee at my company who quits to feel more sad than I feel. I
Oh,
want
that's
him
good.
to
I like that.
feel the pull, right, of the company. I want to create a family so that someone is more sad to leave than I am to see them go. And I also want them to know that I would welcome them back if they decided to come back, because sometimes you just have to go somewhere else to grow, but you can always go back and revisit that opportunity. And I think that's what this community does. It makes you, hopefully, I mean, I don't know how many people are going to be hurting after tonight, but I feel like if you can walk away from an event like this and think, man, I had such a good time and I learned a lot of really great stuff and it changed. Colby is like, within the first 20 minutes, she's like, I think Alyson's changed my entire perspective on life. He's like, I'm so dismayed because now I have to like think about this and like figure out where I'm going and what I'm doing with like my time and my life. And I think that's the whole point, right? You want to walk away having that kind of impact. So it's super cool to see that happen
Yeah.
live and in person. and
I
to be a
want
part of
Alyson
that.
to be my best friend.
Me too.
I mean,
me too.
yeah, I want her to be my bestie. I mean,
Yeah.
besides my wife, I'll be my bestie. Listen,
Yeah.
you give me some advice, Steve, but this is really good advice. Advice on bourbon and things like that, but this is life-changing. Bourbon, not so much. This is like amazing.
Depends
Don't
on how
look
much
at me like
bourbon
that. You know I'm
have.
right. You know I'm right. Yeah, I know. I know. So we had, real quick, can't do the event without the sponsors that are part of it. So
Of course.
real quick, let's give them a quick shout out because they led the way for us to be able to do this.
Yeah.
In keeping with the
Crystalloom,
theme.
DME,
Right?
Inco, Whipley, so supportive of everything that we're doing. It's just awesome. It's awesome to see that support, to see this interest in this group, to recognize how important events like this are. We couldn't be more thankful, honestly.
Yeah, it's amazing that they're willing to do it, that they see the value, that they keep coming back time and time again, even with a first-time event to say, yeah, we'll participate in that. Yeah, we trust the AMBA. We know what you guys are about. We need the next generation of people to come along. Yes, let's do that.
Yeah,
anybody have any questions? Oh, yeah. I know, it's crazy. Oh, we'll do it like this. Oh, well, unfortunately, we can't get to all of them, so it would be unfair to take any of them. And so, one of the things that I'll say, and I'll end with, because I feel okay with saying it, is that, because it's a show and I can do this, I feel and I believe that there was one amazing leader that walked the earth that no longer does. He died and rose again for us, and he did everything opposite. And the biggest thing was to love people, love each other like I loved you. Not the way that you think that people should be loved, but the way that he loved. And that's leadership. And that's it in a nutshell. So when people walk around, they go, how do you lead? You love people beyond yourself. And that's really it. And if you're not somebody that can love people, you got to reflect. You got to look in the mirror and figure that out first, because that's what it boils down to. And that's where the authenticity comes in. If you don't actually love people, it's manipulation, like we were talking about earlier. And that's the opposite. That's hating people. That's trying something from them that they don't want to give, and kind of massage it out of them and trick them and whatever. But if you genuinely love people, then it's easy, and there's a formula for it. People just don't want to recognize it.
Just to say one other thing, we want people to love on other people, and we might not see them doing that. And I think the best thing we can do is to love them first, because maybe they haven't known love.
See, she's so good. You wouldn't have said that, Steve. All right. So I am extremely excited tomorrow to learn how to take that leadership idea and move it into the management idea of things, because that's a misplaced thing, right? Once you have all the skill, you know the things, right? Colby's going to go back. He knows all the things because Alyson told us all the things, and we can go back and check our notes, and we can say, oh, I messed this up here. I didn't lead well here, which is great recognition. But now how do you take that and how do you manage with it? And I'm really looking forward to that. And the rest of tonight, networking and all of it. So hopefully we'll still do a follow-up podcast, a solo one, and we'll go over more stuff, because I will talk to you forever. And it would be so good, not for you, but for me, and that's fine. But I want to thank everybody that came to the Emerging Leaders Workshop, that invested the time, the resources, the commitment, the AMBA for putting it on, Rachel and your team for doing it. Bless you, Rick. Alyson for coming out, Prodigy for hosting an amazing shop tour, having great donuts and fruit, even though we didn't eat them.
They were the best donuts.
So good to be part of that. And I heard this thing. We went to a summit, and they were talking about something else. But what I'll say is, this is not the future of mold making. This is mold making.
Yeah.
Don't say future. This is mold making right now.
Yeah.
The older guy, that's mold making of the past. This is now. And these are the people that are going to do it. These are the people that are going to lead the way.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I have to say, in addition to all your other shout outs, just the AMBA team that's not here, Susan, Troy, working their asses off every single effing day. I just, we're about to go into a strategy session that could direction of the AMBA for the next 1 to 3 years. And the amount of passion that each of the team members is putting in to events like these and ideas like these and how we evaluate them, it's just an awesome dynamic. So I gotta give them a shout out, and thank you, Caitlin, for being my favorite coworker of the evening. You've been fantastic. So
all right, it's going to take me like another hour to tear all this stuff down. So we are going to wrap this up. Thank you guys for being part of the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. On behalf of myself, Alyson, Colby, Kyle, Rachel, Patrick, everybody else that's here, all the sponsors that we talked about, we will put all of those on the show notes so everybody knows. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care, and God bless.